The video that you have been waiting for has arrived. We are reviewing the Dean & Bean sock machine today. I am so excited. This review video, YouTube, has been requested from you guys from the moment that I said that I ordered this sock machine. Now, I do want to point out that first thing, I purchased this with my own money. Nothing in here is paid for, advertised, nothing. So these are all my personal opinions. I'm going to be going through pros and cons, the price, how well does it perform, everything for you guys. So grab your knitting and beverage of choice and let's dive right in. All right, you guys, let's dive right into the review for the sock machine. First off, I'm going to share the model and what I grabbed on their website, how much it cost, and then we're going to go in details after that. So I decided to grab the all-in package 2.0. So this is the sock machine, and I grabbed the yellow. I absolutely love the color yellow. I absolutely love that you can choose the color of your machine. This is all 3D printed, which means that you can really customize it for your own. I decided to grab the all-in package without the ribber. So the ribber is something that you can add on to the top and it creates ribbing for you. Now, that was an extra about $200 US, and for me, I couldn't justify that when I can just pick up my stitches and knit it myself. So the package that I got was with 2 cylinders. The cylinders are the size of needles. So for an example, they have a 54, 60, 64, 72 stitch that you can grab the cylinders for the size of sock. I decided to grab the 64 and 72 cylinder, and it came up to $780 US, and it cost me approximately $71 to ship. So it came up to approximately $850 US for the machine as well as the shipping. Now, when I did receive my machine, it did go through customs. Now, this is going to be different depending on where you are. I'm in New Brunswick, Canada, and when it shipped to me, I had to pay approximately $160 Canadian worth of shipping. So this machine, all in all, cost me over $1,000, which I knew that I was expecting to pay approximately that, but I was a little disappointed with the customs. But please know that Dean & Bean and no one has control over customs. It's really a pick and choose. They decide if you're going to get charged with customs or not. So that is based on the border and where you are located. So please keep that in mind when you're going to be ordering this from the US. If you're Canadian like me, you may end up paying custom charges. So when this arrived, I was so incredibly excited, but I was a little disappointed. So when I was reading on the website, they were saying that this is, a full sock machine that you can just take out of the box and start cranking right away, that there's no real setup to it. That was not entirely true. When I received this, these needles that you see right here, I had to install all of the needles myself. I had to install this weird mass, the light it came with. So there was a little bit of a learning curve, or I should say a lot of a learning curve. And I did not find that Dean & Bean had a great resource for learning on how to set up and work with your sock machine. Now, it did come with a little tiny page that said, scan this to help you set up your machine. That brought you to a frequently asked question page on their website. I had to do a ton of digging on their website. They also had a Facebook group, and I also went on YouTube and I tried researching everything from how to just install this simple thing, how to adjust my gauge, how to install the needles, I had no idea. I wish that they would have had a list of actual written instructions on saying, okay, step 1, you do this. Like when you buy furniture, step 1, install this, place this here, where it would be, kind of there for you. So I was very disappointed when I got this and I had no idea what I was doing. I sadly ruined, I wouldn't say ruined, but there was a few sock tubes that aren't really usable, and I will show those in a little bit. So yeah, I did not find that it was very easy coming out of the box. Now, I do know another person that received also the Dean & Bean sock machine in the last few weeks, and they also had the same issue where they got theirs, and the setup bonnet didn't even have the rings on it. So I don't find that they're consistent in the shipping and how it's set up. For me, if you are advertising it as a take it out of the box and everything's going to be ready for you, I would expect it to be very simple for me, very straightforward, and for me to be able to knit up a sock tube that day. But sadly, that was not the case for me with my experience. Now, you may have had a different experience, but I'm just going based on what I received in my box and how I set it up. Now, when I began to set it up, like I said, I was struggling with the tension. And what I did not know is that there are two little tabs right here. This is your gauge and tension, which means that how tight or loose that your knitting is going to be. What I did not know is there's no real direction on the website. And the information that they have for this on the website is actually it's outdated, and they haven't even refreshed this on the website. So it's, like I said, there was a lot of learning curve, and this is how you turn it, and it knits for you. Now, my sock machine has a little trouble. It won't go the other way. It only goes one way. That's another, another case. So yeah, so that's how it arrived. Nothing was damaged. Everything was in the box. Everything was there, which I was very, very happy with. It was well packaged. No complaints on that. The product itself is absolutely beautiful. It is 3D printed, so it's this more of a plasticky, but it seems very durable. Now, what I would recommend is that you look at how much you're going to be using it. For me, since it's more of a personal use, I think that it's a great investment. But if you're a business that's really, going to be cranking out a few tubes a day, I would stay clear from this, because I don't think that durability long term will be there for you. But if you are just someone who, wants to crank out a tube here and there, then definitely I would, might be a good investment for you. I'm trying to think of the other things. So yeah, so the package that I received came with the weights, it came with the setup bonnets, it came with everything that I needed, and that's why I decided to pick the all-in package. I thought, I don't want to be ordering some stuff later down the road, pay for more shipping, potentially more customs. I really wanted to order it once and have everything that I possibly needed. For the all-in package, which is the one that I purchased, I wanted to share with you all some of the items that I received that are extra on top of the sock machine. So I did receive some cones. So you are supposed to wind your yarn on the cone and then you knit it off of that. So I received 4 of these cones for me to put my yarn on them. I also received the yarn weights. I think this is extremely important. If you are not purchasing your sock machine, the all-in package, add in these weights. You will need this for your knitting. They have the tiniest weight, a medium weight, and the bigger weight. Now, when I was mentioning that you have to add in extra weight and that will be helping with your tension, these are the weights that you add in to the cylinder, which I'll be showing you guys later on when we're going to be knitting up a pair. So these 3 weights came with it, and like I mentioned, if you are not getting the all-in package, add those on extra. I do like the option that they have a lot of add-ins. They also have the heel forks, which this is, I haven't even opened it up because I'm petrified of trying a heel on this, but this is where you can make up your own heel, which I don't know if I'm going to be trying that anytime soon, but they do have YouTube tutorials for those. This is the very sad instruction card. So thank you for your purchase. Scan this, brings you to a frequently asked questions page. I think that they could do better than this and add in that instruction manual of how to set it up. And also all of these extras, what are they for? Like, explain to me, you know, what a heel fork does. Like, for someone who's brand new in knitting or brand new in the sock machine, they may not know what these items are for. I received a few of these latch, loom, and pick tool sets. Just a ruler. Ravel cords. Haven't figured out what these are yet. I think that these are what you're supposed to begin them as, but don't know. We will figure that out later on. Stitch markers. Little light bulb stitch markers. The charge cord for the light, and the light came in a little separate box that you just kind of attached on the top. I'm not going in too much detail because you can see all of these on the website as well. Now, this is what I meant when I had to put in my own needles for the cylinder. So this is the cylinder 72 stitch, and you have to put in your own needles. Now, this little metal ring spring, this aggravates the crap out of me. For the 64 stitch, which is the one that I knit on the most, I haven't tried the 72 stitch yet. It has come undone so many times. It's aggravating. I think on one pair of socks, I think it came undone 4 or 5 times, and I had to physically walk away from my room. But yeah, so you have to put in these for by yourself. Again, these should be things that either you have like a little instruction. I do see it on the website, but there is no instruction here that is telling me properly how to put these on. This would be an easy thing of, you know, a photo of how to put it in, or a link right away to how to do it. I also got the setup bonnets. So this was the 72 stitch bonnet, really nice. Mine did come with the rings. I know that some people it did not. And it comes with the size. Came with a few little extras I haven't really figured out yet. Haven't used them yet. Again, there are no instructions on saying what are these tools. I want an outline. Like when I'm buying furniture from IKEA, I want it to outline saying, what is this? What is this? What is this? Because I don't know. I didn't make the machine, so I don't know what these things are right off the bat. Can I go and investigate and figure that all out? Absolutely. But I think as a purchasing customer, and if I get a big package and extra tools, I do think that it should be outlined on what those tools are. Another package of spare needles that I do really appreciate in case any of them break. This, don't know what this is. Don't know. Haven't figured that out. And a little cable cuff. And a mini screwdriver. I think this is adorable. So that is pretty much everything that came with the machine. Again, I do think that I would have loved an outline sheet. Let me know in the comments below, is that something you also find important? Before doing this review, I really wanted to try out the sock machine as much as I possibly could to give you guys a very good review and not just do like one pair of socks. I really wanted to make sure that I tried it out, I tested it, different types of yarns, different dyers, commercial yarns, everything. Like, you guys, I went bonkers. Like, I have all of these, and then I even have a few pairs of socks. I've been a busy bee. So when I first got the machine, I decided to put a tube, start cranking it out. Now, I did have a lot of trouble with my tension, and I also had a lot of trouble with stitches literally just coming off of the machine. And I'll insert a picture right here. I was getting so frustrated because there's no real say, if this happens, this is what it is. I had to go in the Facebook group, wait for my to be accepted into the Facebook group of the Dean and Bean sock machine. I will put a link below. And then had to ask my question. And it turns out that there was just not enough weight in the machine. So when you are knitting, and I will show that all as I'm knitting it up, but this is called the setup bonnet. Now, I know another person that received their setup bonnet, they didn't have any of these rings attached to it. Thankfully, I did. And they also didn't even have the clothes at the end. So I found that their shipping inconsistency is a little bit all over the place. But thankfully for me, these were all there. So when you put this into your sock machine, you are supposed to add a weight, and that will help the tension and the gauge stay correct. Now, for me and this machine, I needed to use the heaviest weight that came with the machine. So that was one of the problems, but I just couldn't get the tension right. So this was the first one. Not bad, but the inside is not great. Like there's just floats where the yarn didn't want to stay. It was just a little bit of a disaster. There's needles that kept falling. It was a learning curve. So that was the first one, and I may be able to salvage it, but I really need to look into the middle of this. The other ones that I did, I was not able to keep the whole tube just because of the way that it was going. But see, this one is, this was Campfire Yarns in her 80s Funk. This was the Patreon color of the month for the month of February. But the gauge on this was so crazy loose. Like there's no way that this could be a pair of socks. So it started out so loose and then came in a little bit, got tight for a minute, came back loose, got tight again, and then stitches started falling off. I had no idea what was going on. So my tension still wasn't right. I was still trying to get the hang of it. These were just absolutely ridiculous. Oh my gosh, I was trying to play with the tension and gauge. I mean, this could almost be a hat. Like this is supposed to be a pair of socks. This was not. Okay, like this is supposed to be a pair of socks. To give you a reference, this is a pair of socks and this is not a pair of socks. So there was a lot of playing with the tension, playing with the gauge, that little dial. And if it wasn't right for the machine, my stitches would just start flying off. I was getting so frustrated. The other thing that I want to mention, if your gauge and tension wasn't right, for me, I've had it happen a few times where the spring holding it there was flying off. And I want to say it's at least 10 times. So it's really, there's a few things that I think could be improved with it. And then I tried again, still way too loose. And then this one was ridiculous. Again, size of a hat. So, sock, not really a sock. Like this, that's how much more I have on the tube. I also tried to crank out a pair of socks. So this was the colorway of the Cozy Knitter for the March Dyer of the Month. And I decided to crank out a pair of socks. Now, this was when I thought that I had hit my perfect gauge. And again, it's a little too big for my liking. But my mom has a little bit bigger feet than me, so I'm going to give it to her. So it's still not bad, but not where I'd want it to be. So this was the Cozy Knitter, and I had finished one sock completely, picked up for the cuff, the toe, and then I just need to put in the heel. So this was the first pair of socks that I actually completed on the sock machine. Now, when I'm saying I completed on the sock machine, I don't do the whole sock on the sock machine. If you have the ribber, you can create ribbing on your sock machine, which does your knits and purls. And there is a way to do some sort of heel. I will not be doing that. I have trouble just doing plain stockinette and for it to be perfect the way that I like it. And I think just doing a heel, an afterthought heel is perfect for me. But there are YouTube tutorials that Dean and Bean have to do a full heel on the sock machine that you can do that. But personally, I think that it's a little too fiddly for me. And I would like it just to be normal. A normal tube like this. So this one is one of my favorites, and I wanted to wait until I got the perfect tension, which I'm so happy that I did. This is leftover of Nicole C. Mendez. This was her Christmas cookies colorway in her Christmas box last year, and I will be cutting in to make myself a holiday pair of socks. And I really loved how this came. So this tension is about, I would say, I think it was 8 to 8.5 stitches per inch that I am getting on my sock machine. I know that that's going to be a question that I get asked a lot is, what was the gauge that I'm getting? I'm getting anywhere between 8 to 8.5 stitches per inch. Depends also on the yarn and the thickness, but I just love this colorway. So this is going to be a pair of socks soon. And that was all of the tubes that I haven't done into socks yet. Then the second pair of socks that I completed on the sock machine was these ones of Moonglow. And I decided to play around and actually do stripes on the sock machine. So I changed color. Again, this was something that I had to play around with. And I think it did pretty well. So I weaved in all of the ends on the inside. It is a little looser than I would have liked. But again, I'm having fun playing with the tension. So I did this color work. I added in the yarn and knit the tube. Then I cut in for the heel, the toe, and added the cuff myself. So that pair of socks was done. Really, really proud of that. Absolutely love being able to add in another yarn. I think that this is something that you can easily do with other sock machines, but I just really wanted to have fun with some stripes and leftover yarns. And the last pair of socks that I actually completed on the sock machine was a scrappy pair out of a homespun house. So these minis up here are from her Petal mini skein set, and this one is her Folklore colorway. And again, the same thing. I did these stripes on the sock machine, added in the main color, cut in for the heels, toes, and cuffs. And I love this tension. This one right here, I have to say this is the last pair of socks that I did and has to be my favorite sock that I did on the sock machine. I think that the gauge is absolutely perfect. You can see like it's nice and tight. No stitches came undone. Nothing was all over the place. So I think I finally have it figured out. But I am disappointed on how long it took for me to figure that out. And maybe that's just normal in a sock machine. I just adore how these came out. Now, a few things to point out. Like I mentioned before, I bought this with my own money. This was not advertised or like no one's paying me for the review. I'm doing this because I wanted to be very open and honest with you all about my experience with the sock machine. Now, if you get this sock machine, you may have a completely different experience and that is okay, but this is just the one that I had. And I do know other people that got it and also had a lot of trouble setting it up and getting their perfect gauge and being able to set it up. I just wish that they had more instructions, more resource out there, maybe even a pamphlet that it would come with, or even a PDF pamphlet that says, okay, step 1, do this. Step 2, do that. And they would actually have also a step-by-step troubleshooting, because those are key things that every knitter is going to have. Now, if you don't mind doing your own research and going all over YouTube and their website and their Facebook page, if that doesn't bother you, then this is perfect. But if you are wanting something out of the box, completely ready, and you don't want to, fuss over everything, maybe this wouldn't be the machine for you. So enough chit-chatting. I am going to be showing you how to set it up and attaching the bonnet, as well as we are going to be cranking out a little bit of a sock. I decided to bring the sock machine to my dining room table. I do find that this is a little easier, so you do need an edge that you can put these clips on. So they come with 4 clips. You can clip them each on the side, but when you put it on the edge of a table, I just clip 2 on the front, and then I will clip 1 on this side. I do find that this is a little easier for me to do at the kitchen table. It's a really nice height. For the sample, I took out some Nicole C. Mendez. This was in a fun club colorway last year called Coffee Break, and I have been dying to get this knit up. So what I'll need for this is a scrap yarn. To start off with, we need our bonnet and the heaviest weight. So let's get it all set up. And I'm going to be taking these little rings and I'm going to be attaching them to every second needle, because you have half of the amount of rings than you have needles. So I'm just going to be adding them almost all the way. Also, I want to make sure that this little halfway mark is at the start where my yarn is going to be coming from, and I'm going to be attaching the needles almost the whole way around and then continuing for that. So let's get these on there. To move the beginning around a little bit just to get my needles. So you can see I placed the weight, and you see that there's no needles here, and that is okay. As we're going to start knitting, the stitches are going to drop, and then I'm going to put them onto the needles as they appear. So this is where we're going to take our scrap yarn, and we are going to do a few rounds with that, then switch to our main color. So let's get the scrap yarn and let's get cranking. For an example, right here, the stitch for some odd reason didn't catch, so I had to continue, put some yarn in for it to catch the yarn. That's what I mean when I say that it's a bit of a learning curve. It's not always going to be perfect. The weight helps with your gauge and tension. And now that I've completed the first few rounds, you can really see that all of my stitches are here. I will be cutting the waste yarn and attaching my real yarn. This just makes sure that you're not wasting any of your precious yarns. Now I forgot to mention that they even came with these little tiny weights. This is how you're going to switch your yarn. You're going to cut, leaving a nice long tail, putting it inside. You're going to then place your other yarn, place it inside, and clip them together to make sure that your yarn doesn't come undone. They also have YouTube tutorials on how to do that. So let's attach our main color. It looks like I've just placed my yarn. Oh, gotta put it perfectly in the exact same location as the waste yarn. And you see that I've clipped them together, bringing that yarn down. So now as I'm going to crank, it will take the new color and just keep knitting. You can either have it on a cone. Honestly, I've done it with just the cake of yarn right here, making sure that it's very loose and you have a good tension on it. If your cake is too tight or there's resistance, that's when it's not gonna work with your sock machine. A lot of people use the cone and put it on the back. I found that it's worked perfectly fine right here. So let's get cranking. Here it is. Now that it's touched the floor, the tension sometimes goes off. So all I do, and this I mean is a long tube, I usually don't do the full 100 grams because sometimes if I want to pick up with heels, toes, and cuffs, I could do it with that yarn. I just cut off the yarn, and then you guys, look at this. So if you just go, you're gonna see that the stitches just fall right off. Now this might terrify some people, but for me, I absolutely love it because then I come with my needles and I just pick up these live stitches right away and I can knit from that. Isn't this so beautiful? Now, you may wonder what you're gonna do with this bonnet is you have to unhook all of that yarn and then you can just take off that waste yarn so that your sock is going to be ready for you to knit it up. Hope you guys enjoyed this fun little review of the Dean & Bean sock machine. If you guys have any questions, plop them below. But yes, again, this was all my honest opinions and my opinions, and you may have had a different experience, but this is just everything that I really enjoyed, didn't enjoy, what I think could be improved from the sock machine. and yeah, going forward. So again, thank you so much for checking out my channel, and make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more fun knitting content. As always, everyone, happy knitting. Until next time.